to begin to do is this. For those who's really willing to heed what He say, God's going to tell them to forsake some things that they've never forsaken before. That they've never forsaken before. No. And so now, with that being the case, what's going to happen is this. When God asks these people, these men and women of God, to forsake the things that He tells them to forsake, what's going to happen is this. For those that actually heed and obey, that He would take them to a higher place in the Spirit and trust them more, to forsake more, to show forth the essence of Christ now. See, in other words, there's very few people that's really willing to show forth symbolic characteristics of Christ besides just being Christ-like. You see it? See, in other words, it means this here. If a man had tons of stuff and God told him to give it all up, there's a principle that supports that, but in the now, in 2012, that's crazy. I mean, this be real. In 2012, that's dumb, that's crazy, that's ridiculous. You know, work 25 years to gain all this stuff. How dare you gonna tell me the Lord told you to give this stuff up? But yet, see, watch this. See, we are so carnal in this country until we don't realize how carnal we are. America has perverted us. America has perverted the Christians. We look in this Bible and we say that we identify with this thing. But if God in 2012 told us like what He did in this here and told us to do this now, most of us will say that can't be God. That's a devil's spirit. That's an evil spirit. That can't be God. I worked 25 years. I got 5 houses. I got 10 cars. I get millions of dollars. You will tell me the God I serve, know that I need this stuff. How many people I can bless and help? And you mean tell me God will tell me to give this up? That can't be God. Watch this. Because God is God, and because He always wants to show something and always also be a reproducing God, sometimes, I know some of the things I'm saying sound far-fetched out there, I know that, and that's fine. Watch this. Why can't you give up the 10 cars? Watch this now. Listen very attentively. Why can't you give up the 10 cars? Why can't you give up the money? Why can't you give up the houses? Watch this. So now, if that's the case, you might say, no, that can't be more than that. Watch this. See, the idea was not about you. The idea was not about the fact that you gave up the houses, the cars, the money. It was not about that. It's what He wanted people to see you do. He already knew He was going to replace it with a $50 million check. He's trying to show people that I'm going to have someone on the earth who's willing to forsake everything for me. See, we are so scary until when God's trying to show forth this word now, we can't even come nowhere near it. Because we live in such modern times. We live in such modern times. And like I said before, I'm going to keep saying it, I don't care if people call me from all over America. America has perverted and twisted us as Christians, and the church is perverted with America's doctrine. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. You want me to come against science and biology? I come against that too. You want me to come against history? I come against history too. Oh yes, it has perverted us. Yes, it has. So why is it that y'all gotta pray for me, because there's a lot of things in my spirit. I haven't even gotten to my message yet. Watch this. Why is it? And y'all please understand I'm not racist. Why is it that our black kids walk around here saying, you talk like you're white? What is talking white? You talk like you're white. You dress like you're white. What is dressing white? What is talking white? Because America has taught us that we are less because we understand it come out of slavery. And because of that, that has actually perverted what we believe as Christians and even as black people. To the point, I'm not saying everybody, I'm saying to a large degree, we're still perverted in that sense. To a point where you hear a lot of the things that kids say, I'm like, what are you talking about? You just as smart, you just as intelligent, your dialect is just as smart. So what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Where do you get this from? Where do you get this from? Oh, okay, let me move on to some spiritual stuff and get away from history stuff. Y'all don't want to hear this. Because if you're going to be a Christian and operate in truth, you have to deal with things in the purest sense of how they are and deal with the society you live in. It's not all about being all anointed and having riches and prosperity and you ignorant to the fact that how you kids think. Going to church every Sunday, your kid got a woke thought about how they see themselves pretending to their peers. Please. You just as smart, you can be just as successful. Just as successful. Why God shifted me here? You know why? Because I'm hearing some of you say some of the things that hurts my heart. They say things like, where do you get this from? Where do you get this from? But you go check the school system and see what they're teaching and you'll understand where they get it from. You'll understand where they get it from. And then see, listen here. Even when a child is talking about what they learn in school, I check it. Not no doggone pen. I'm talking about what is the history of what you're saying. Where's the truth behind what you just said? I know it's in the book. I know it's in the book. I know that. You can't stop the system. So the system is the system. But guess what? You also can have your child balance between to what they have to learn. Because when you go to school, let's be real, you have to learn about evolution. Any Christian know not to believe in evolution? Any Christian know not to believe in the Big Bang Theory? People develop from no apes. Let me move off this. Okay? God take me there for whatever reason. Okay, listen. Watch this. Watch this. Okay, the message is, are you denying me my cross and discipleship? That's the message, okay? Are you denying me my cross and discipleship? But still want my full new season. And we're dealing with Luke 14. Luke 14, verse 26. And it says that many men come to me and hate not his father, mother, wife, children, and brethren and sisters, yea, in his own life also. He cannot be my disciple. And then 27 says, whosoever does not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. Okay. Why is God saying this? Why is God saying this? See, when he asked the question, are you denying me my cross and discipleship? See, discipleship, what do we say discipleship was? Discipleship is a student and a learner, and one that's willing to follow. That's a disciple. But also we said that a disciple is also one that's willing to what? To forsake all. The word deny means this: to refuse the existence, truth, or validity of. To refuse the existence, truth, or validity of. Now watch this one. This is the secondary part of that word definition. And that is to disclaim connection with or responsibility for. To disclaim connection with or responsibility for. And then we have the definition of the word is disciple itself, which I already said, which is one who follows, a student, a learner, and then one that's willing to forsake all. That is the two definitions that we're going to deal with while we give you that message. Okay, are you denying me my cross and discipleship, but still want my full new season? See, the full new season is going to come. But see, there's going to be a great distinction, and there's going to be a great separation. Deacon Curtis talked about it this morning. He was hitting on this morning, speaking prophetically. See, there is going to be a great separation. In this separation, you're going to know who is who and what is what. Even though everybody will be prosperous because certain blessings was promised, but you're going to know the true disciples from what we call the masters. Everybody all right? Yeah. Are you denying me my cross and discipleship, but still want my full new season? Watch this. Now, this is the thing we have to remember. There's areas that God's saying, I am trying to bring you to a place of discipleship. But to bring you to this place of discipleship in this full new season, you have to understand that discipleships come through the cross. And if the discipleship comes through the cross, which is the suffering, then you cannot escape the cross to get to discipleship. You can't skip it. So what many are trying to do is skip the cross and get over to discipleship and say, I'm a disciple. You're not a disciple. You just anointed and blessed. You're not a disciple. A disciple is willing to forsake all. A disciple is willing to forsake all. So now, if we look at these verses, and then he says, 28 says, for which of you tending to build a tower, sit not down first and count the cost, whether he has sufficient to finish it. We understand that means, in the sense of looking at it in another form, this: consider what God is saying to you before you can build anything in the kingdom efficiently and effectively based on what God's trying to do with you. We can't do nothing effectively if we don't let God build us to this place to do it effectively. None of us can. This is why we talked about this morning. This is why many of us are in the fire. The fire is to purify us. See? If you're not in the, if you're in the fire, it is to purify us. And all of us right now in the kingdom is in the fire. I mean, most are. I mean, I don't really think of too much that's not. Most are in the fire right now. Now this fire is to purify and bring us to a place of discipleship. So now you cannot, with the cross and the fire is the same. The cross and bearing it is the fire. And so when you're bearing the fire and the cross, it brings you to the place of discipleship. See, because let me tell you something now. Discipleship cannot come on the scene for us until what Christ died. That discipleship was under that law and under that time because they were with him. Our discipleship could not come in place until he died. Then can we receive our form of discipleship. So we say, oh yeah, them boys were the disciple. They were with him. We weren't. So when he died, then can we receive what we call discipleship. So that if that's the case, that means, watch this, Christ himself carried the cross so that we can actually get discipleship. So if I got to go through the cross, which is carry my cross, it's like I'm going to carry in the sense, just like how you did symbolically. Because my place is carrying my cross to get to the cross to die. But mine is to be purified, which his was to die for humanity. So my cross of getting here, and the nails going on my hand symbolically, it's one nail here, going through trials and being rejected, mistreated, talked about. Next one over here, don't know whether I'm coming or going because I ain't got no money in my pocket, lights off and whole 9 yards, ain't got no gas on the car. And God said, I'm still doing something with you, my son, my daughter. Because we live in Martin. And so we symbolically have to face these nails. And we have to symbolically face them in our feet. And the saint said, this can't be God. God said, this is me. Because I'm nailing you to the cross like I did my son, but yours is symbolically. And when you say it, watch this, oh my gosh, when you say it is finished like Christ did, when you say it is finished, your it is finished is when you give up and fully let the purification process take place and the fire fully consume you. So we do this and say, we do this and say it is finished. That means now I've given over myself fully to him. It is finished. No longer me in the way. No longer me in the way. It is finished. Calvin is now out the way. It is finished. And when you watch this, and when he said, and then he said, the Bible said that he gave up the ghost. Symbolically, the ghost for us is the purification of our spirit. And those impurities leaving us. Why? Because what he's saying is this here. Many are trying to skip over the cross and get to the fullness season. And yes, they're still going to get there. And they're still going to receive it. Because I promised. And I can't lie. And they're going to get it. But don't they dare try to stand next to someone who's a disciple and act like they're a disciple. Because what's going to show is that everyone is blessed and have the manifestation of the promise that I promised them. But they're not a disciple. They're just anointed and blessed, but they're still in the stage of being a bastard. Are you hearing me? Oh yes. See, because God's not going to let us skip over nothing. He's not going to let us skip over anything. We're not going to get by. None of us are. And the trials be so much to the point where you feel like you want to just scream. You want to scream like, what is this, God? He said, I'm purified. What is this? Why, God? He said, I'm purified. Because where I'm taking you, I want you to be the same. I don't want you to be a blessed, anointed bastard. Are you hearing me, people of God? See, now the thing about it is why God's saying it is for this reason. And I said, God, why are you giving me a message? It seems like I'm going backwards.